just before you go on stage,
Right.
the MC of the night, he's explaining the rules to you. Hey, yes, as you know, it's a Gong show. What do you mean, as you know? I was like, what do you mean, as you know? I don't know. I'm just finding out right now. And I was like, fudge. And the basic rules are that you go on stage and you get 2 minutes grace period. Oh my goodness! Like,
Yeah.
how you?
I mean, from what I understand, it takes about 9 or 10 years to actually like properly feel like you're actually doing a good job.
Yeah.
As well.
I think that's fair. Yeah, they say it takes 10 years to find your voice and become comfortable with who you are on stage and what you want to talk about and the topics and blah 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 blah. And then you hope an audience gravitates towards that, and then.
So then, what? Okay, so like, start me from the start then. In that case, because you are. Or were a doctor.
Yes. Still got my number.
Okay, yeah. Because you wear the scrubs sometimes on Instagram, and I'm like, is this just a bit? Are you still?
Yeah.
practicing?
I'm still in it. I guess I'm still in it. I haven't stopped doing it, but I guess since my boys came into the picture, I'm not full time with it. So you obviously with kids mostly, one parent takes the hit, and traditionally it's been the mother. And I said, because I was doing comedy for a while before my first son came into the picture, I was kind of like, well. I'm doing okay enough that I can probably get by with doing the evenings and weekends with the terms of the gig. So why don't you continue with your work, your career, and then let me be the one that quote unquote takes the hit while the kids are young and still kind of work out this comedy thing. So that's how we've been doing it, and it's working. Touch wood.
I feel like it's giving you your material though, if anything.
Well, that's. I remember I had an interview. A few years ago with The Guardian. They're like, oh well, it's counterintuitive. If this takes off for you and you stop working clinically, then you lose access to material. And I said, there's always stuff to sort of talk about. And I still do the odd shifts, so I still have to sort of tap in, so to speak, and do the shifts to keep my license. Otherwise, they get a bit upset.
Right.
But it's a weird one. Yeah, the more successful you are, the less you'll probably do clinically. But I guess I'm not at that stage yet to have that conundrum and have to face it.
So then where was the... What was the jumping off point? Because
in comedy,
yeah. Was it because you were working as a doctor?
Yes.
Started to get into comedy. That's not something most people do. It's like you and Adam Kay, and that's basically.
I don't know. Johnny did a few more. It is actually bigger than I.
There's like a whole community.
There is. I'm gonna just name drop a few people that come to my head. There's a guy called Ed Patrick. He's been doing it longer than I have. Benji Waterstone's another. He's a psychiatrist. He's got a book out as well.
Right.
Kwame Asante, Stefani Lakari. She's an anaesthetist who does stand up as well. And there's probably a few more that I've probably missed there. But those are the ones that I guess are quote unquote within my cohort.
Right. I feel like you could probably start like your own hospital with all.
Well, no, we could start like we've done a few shows together. I think we should probably do more of that. But
medical edition.
Exactly. Like I've seen it online where there's a group of teachers. I think they're based in the States, but they tour. I think they tour predominantly States, where a group of teachers and they basically put on a tour, and it's like a comedy show sort of tour. And I'm sure they grab it. Loads of teachers come out because it's relatable to them. So that's something we could probably do of some sort of ilk. But
yeah. So then where did it exactly start for you? You were just working.
I was working.
I just need to put this on a stage.
No, it was just curiosity. I think during medical school, people say, "Oh, Mike, you're funny. You got a bit of banter," and I knew I enjoyed making people laugh. In terms of like, let's say we're in a group setting and someone said something. I knew I enjoyed saying a little one-liner off what they just said, and if people reacted, I knew I enjoyed that.
Right.
That I just took that. That was a little thing.
That was
for
always
me.
your thing, yeah.
But I never thought career, make money from it, this, that, and the other. And it's only when people were saying, "Oh, Michael, you're funny. You got a bit of banter," that I guess curiosity got the better of me, and I started working as a doctor my first year working, and believe it or not, I got into we call it a Swartz round. It's kind of like every week as new doctors we'll meet and just discuss. Usually it's teaching, but sometimes we'll do this thing where it's like reflections, just discuss things that are sort of happening to you. And I had something a bit dramatic happen to me where I was sort of requested to go to coroner's court, which is something very dramatic. Do you know what coroner's court is? Yeah. So it's quite serious in terms of you're asked to give sort of evidence.
Can you say what it was?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's probably public record, but anyway, I was one of the doctors. I was the most junior member of the doctor of an elderly guy who unfortunately passed away. So the story was that he was an inpatient with us, came in with, I believe, a chest infection, and we were treating him, and it was determined by the senior doctor that he was safe enough to sort of go home.
Right.
And I think we decided that on the Friday. So I didn't work that weekend. We came back on the Monday, and the decision was, oh, you should still go home. And he was discharged, and unfortunately that evening went home and passed away, which obviously you leave hospital, you don't leave hospital to pass away. So understandably, it went to the coroner. So that the issue isn't that it went to the coroner. I guess my reflection was, oh my goodness, that I didn't understand the full ramification of what coroner's court meant. I was worried. I was telling the story to my colleagues. And I think at the time, and it's still true, and it's funny because there's a clip that I discussed this in my first show, and I put a clip about discussing it, and it went where I discussed it in Bristol, and it went viral because this lawyer stood up and said, "You're lying to these people," because I was basically ruminating that, oh my goodness, like, if this goes left, after studied for 5 years, I could be charged with manslaughter, but which isn't how coroner's court is meant to go, but it has done. There's a few cases where doctors have gone to coroner's court, given evidence, and then they were told, "Oh, you were negligent. We tried you manslaughter," and actually were
Even though
criminally
you weren't responsible for it though.
No, in this case I wasn't. And when it got to coroner's court, it was found there was no fault, there was no foul play. So there's no issue there. But as the time when this was happening, I was worried about these things happening because these are potential outcomes.
It can happen.
It can happen. And obviously if there's chances of it to happen, you're always going to think the worst thing, aren't you? You know, it's like anyone, well, like lay people, when they have a medical symptom, they Google it. Google tells them it's the worst thing ever. Yeah,
Gemini's the worst for hypochondriacs.
Exactly.
Is what I found out recently.
You just speak to Gemini. Oh, what's going on with this? I got this symptom, that symptom. Cancer. The worst thing. Yeah. And even though it's a possibility, it's less likely. But you always think about the worst case scenario. So I was ruminating about this, and I was telling my colleagues as it was going on. So by this point, it's happening. I remember I was sort of telling my mum, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, you've been charged with murder." I said, "No, I've not been charged with that. That's not what's going on here. It's
not helping you feel any better."
I'm not feeling better. I'm feeling the worst now. And I was telling the story to my colleagues, and they were laughing. I was thinking, "Oh my goodness, if I can take something quite dark and quite traumatic and find humor in it, then there must be something there." And I think with that curiosity and that, I guess, ability, so to speak, I took it to the stage, and I remember I signed up. I booked my first show. It's called Beat the Blackout at Up the Creek in Greenwich. And I told some friends to come along. I said, "I'm doing this comedy film. I'm going to try it out. Come along." But I didn't realise that it was a Gong show. I don't know.
No, I was going to say Up the Creek. That's the really famous one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Beat the Blackout.
Okay.
But I didn't know.
Yes,
I didn't know.
Yes.
I know that the idea
I know
is...
about the Gong, and I've not been there, but I've heard of it. It's it's sort of like
one
a rite of passage
notorious...
for every London comedian.
Yes. So if you want to get on at Up the Creek, their rite of passage is that you have to do their open mic night. And most open mic nights are people just go up and tell a few jokes and hopefully, but they do it like a competition to make it a bit fun. But obviously as an act, it's traumatic. And I didn't know it was this.
And it's just your very first
ever time on stage. Debut. And I told my friends, "Come along, I'm going to try this comedy thing." Because it was the local club to where I live. So I just typed in open mic nights.
So when did you find out that there was the whole...
I
went
found
on stage,
out...
or you found out before?
Just before you go on stage, the MC of the night, he's explained the rules to you. There's like 15 of us. And he's like, "Hey, yes, as you know, it's a Gong show." "What do you mean, as you know?" I was like, "What do you mean, as you know?" "I don't know. I'm just finding out right now." And I was like, fudge. And the basic rules are that you go on stage and you get 2 minutes grace period. So there is the idea is that you go on, you got 2 minutes just to show the audience what you got about you. And 3 audience members have cards. And the idea is after those 2 minutes, if all 3 cards go up, the stage blacks out, hence the name. And you get kicked off stage.
Right.
And you have to go off and reconsider your life choices. That's it. Some people do it one time, get kicked off, and you don't see them again.
Yeah.
They said that's
I think
not
it's
for
something
me.
that everyone should do at one point in their life.
Oh yeah, it's a humiliation ritual. That's it. So then I'm just finding this out in real time. So people must have saw my face and be like, "Oh," but the other actors be like, "What the fudge is going on with him?" And I'm just finding this out, and I couldn't back out. I invited my friends. I was like, "I'm inviting my friends. They're here. Let's just run with it. Let's just go." So we just had to firm it. And fortunately for me, for my first time ever, I lasted 3.5 minutes, which sounds crazy.
What did they give you,
context. 5 minutes. Yeah, you get 5 minutes. So you get 2 minutes grace period, and then the final 3 minutes are when they could sort of vote you off. So within the period, 90 seconds of the time they could vote me off, they kept me on stage. And for first time ever, I've never said these jokes before. I didn't know if any of it was funny. You know, so the fact that I got to 3.5 minutes and I felt the euphoria of a whole room laughing, that feeling you chase it every time. Every time I'm on stage now, I'm chasing that same euphoria that I got from the first time.
Oh yeah, chasing the dragon.
Yeah, I've never done hard drugs, but I can imagine that's the feeling.
That's exactly
that's it. That's when people shoot up or whatever. That feeling of that dopamine surge, that euphoria, that oh my goodness. So every time on stage, that's what I'm chasing.
Did you ever perform before in any way? Or was it just specifically stand up? Like, did you do any acting when you were a kid in school or anything like that? Yeah, no, but there was never any like inkling that like this was what you wanted to.
No, not really.
You didn't connect it with that.
I had done the nativity in school. I had done when I was probably like year 5, year 6. I did a bit of. There was a little drama class that I was a part of that we acted. I can't remember what we performed in, but we acted and we put on a little performance. I did drama at GCSE. Right. I got an A, which I'm very proud about, by the way. Most of my friends got a B. And they said it's because my coursework was better. But I think they're hating because it's 80% performance, 20% coursework. So getting good coursework is not going to bump me up to an A. But there we go. So that's my acting. I wasn't afraid of the limelight, so to speak. But I never, going to school, like when I say school, secondary, sixth form, comedy wasn't in my mind. It wasn't a thought process. Even in uni, I never did any comedy. I went to a comedy club once before I started performing at one.
Oh, right.
So it wasn't,
there was no like,
it wasn't in my world.
You went one, I feel like most comedians, they'll go one night with a friend of theirs who's like, I've got a spare ticket because my friend can't make it or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, that person was amazing. No, there wasn't anything like that.
No, it wasn't like that. Like I remember going, the time we went, I remember it now, it was Top Secret. And one of my friends, great club. And this was, I'm just going to show our age, just like over a decade ago. And I remember the act on stage, this guy called Tim Renko, who's a very good comic and it was very funny. And I just enjoyed the night, but I never saw him and thought I could do that or I want to do that. I never put the two together. I didn't know what the Edinburgh Fringe was before I became a comic.
Really?
So I was totally, it's not my world. You know, now it's the center of your year as a comic almost. But before I got into comedy, I didn't know what it was. I never, that now people, you going to the Fringe, but it wasn't, it didn't exist. It's some arts festival in Edinburgh. Why would me as a guy from London?
So like, okay, so then by the time you started going to the Fringe, were you already starting to get some success, or did you like sort of build it up through there as well?
So the first time I went was 2018. There's a competition, new act competition called So You Think You're Funny, and they do the heats across the country and the semi-finals, of which there are several semi-finals, but it's like 8. But the idea is that you do these regional heats, you graduate or get to semi-final, and then they have like 8 semi-finals, then each winner from the semi-final go to the final. Right. So I got to the semi-final stage in 2018. Unfortunately didn't progress to the final, but that was my first taste of sort of Edinburgh and many shows happening.
What was that like? What did that feel like?
John, it's one of the first times, because you're really new when you do that competition. I think you have to be performing for, I think the cut-off's like a year or under your 18 months max. So right. I was very new. So that was one of the first times I had performed outside London. So it was a good experience for me because sometimes performing in London's sort of home for me, so there's references. I could be like, yes, I was on the tube the other day and this, that, and the other, and that's...
Yeah, what did you go up to, like Manchester or something for the semi-finals and you start referencing the tube and then people instantly start throwing things at the stage?
Yeah, that's what I like about when you obviously get a bit more successful and you do gigs up around the country, you realise that you have to sort of tone down. You don't want to tone down who you are, but you have to, the references. Yeah. You can't be like the tube or I was on the district line.
I was walking past the palace the other day.
Yeah, they don't give a fudge. They may even find that as an affront. The fact that you're coming up to Manchester, you're talking all this London stuff. They don't give a toss. So it taught me early, gigging around the country taught me that you can be yourself, but you have to sort of tone down the references and make your references more universal. Right. So you can bring people into the story. When you start alienating people, then they're not going to come on board with the joke because they're going to feel that there's this distance between you and them. So that was my first time performing outside London, going to Edinburgh for this competition. And it definitely, it was useful to know. It was useful to know, okay, what works, what doesn't work, and started giving me an idea a year in, okay, if you want to be successful, you have to think further than London. You got to think further than your home city, because to be a successful comedian, one of the requirements that you tour, and you have to tour beyond your city, you have to tour ideally beyond your country, that you can take it abroad. And, that means that instead of just having British references, you probably make them a bit more universal, make them more worldly. So I'm not there yet, but these are the things that I'm conscious of now. And that early experience taught me, okay, diversify your references.
Have you like started touring anywhere else? Any other countries? Have you done any gigs?
I've done gigs abroad. Yeah. I've done gigs abroad. So I've done with Live Nation and the Comedy Store. They have gigs in Europe, which is quite nice. So I've done.
I'd just be fascinated how that would like, because you're talking about like expanding your references and trying other things, and then Edinburgh, but that's one thing, and then going to an entirely different country. That's
yeah. So easiest, it's probably easy. I've done Ireland, so I've done Dublin and Cork, and that was easier because you can say. Obviously, they don't have an NHS, but they have a health service, which is national. So they understand references in that sort of world. So that's easier to explain. But then I've gone a bit further afield. I've gone to places like Copenhagen and Prague and Aalborg, which is also in Denmark. And then I've done Oslo. I did a nice sort of trio. It was Oslo, Stockholm, and Helsinki. And one thing, their English is very good out there. Very good. Probably better than some of us out here. You know what I'm saying? Their English is phenomenal. Yeah. But obviously there is the references that I need to make sure that I can't just say council tax and expect them to fully understand, for example. So if I'm going to do a joke where the punchline is council tax, I either have to take it out or find a succinct way of explaining it that doesn't lose the pace of the joke.
The gist.
So so it's stuff like that when you start fortunately venturing abroad that you have to be very mindful of, which is a nice challenge.
That's nice though. Like it gives you the opportunity to like travel and like see new places as well. Were you like surprised by anywhere that you went? I feel like it's a really good time as well for like for traveling as a stand-up comedian. Because it's this thing where like what was it? It was Saudi Arabia that like paid loads of comedians recently
the
to like
Comedy Festival.
It's like stand-up comedy is kind of everywhere now. Like Japan, they're getting like American stand-up comedians and British stand-up comedians. Yeah.
You post something online and, you know, like, for example, now I'm going on tour this autumn and I'm just going around the UK and doing a few dates in Ireland. So I'm hoping when I posted that, it's people in the UK that see it and enjoy it and hopefully want to come to shows. But I've had a lot of people from Australia find me because naturally they speak English in Australia.
There's a big comedy scene in Australia though as well, isn't there? There's like the festival there, and so
they've got Melbourne Festival,
sense.
Sydney. Yeah, I think there's another because of Auckland's New Zealand. There's Adelaide. There we go. Yeah. So they've got they've got festival. It's almost like a festival circuit. So a lot of British acts in the lead up to Edinburgh in August, they'll go out to Australia in like the spring, or like Feb, March, April. They'll go out and do Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide to get their shows ready for Edinburgh. So yeah, there's a huge sort of circuit, and their acts also will bring their shows that they've done at those festivals to Edinburgh in August. So yeah, obviously English speaking, there's a huge sort of scene there. I've never ventured out there. I'd like to at some point, but it really shows that especially stand-up comedy is global. Like you see our big British acts, like someone like a Jimmy Carr, if you sat down and just go through his tour schedule, he goes all over the world.
Yeah.
He goes all over the world, doing big rooms all over the world. So it definitely shows you that it's global. Obviously you want to build some hype and interest in your home sort of country where you're based, and then hopefully over time that expands because English is a universal language. So if you can make it in England and there's enough success, there'll be people in another country. You go to Paris, you can do your show in English. There'll be enough people that speak English that want to come see you and so on and so forth.
Would that be like a difficult thing now? Because like when you started touring and you started comedy, you didn't have... You've got one son?
I got two boys. Yeah,
two boys.
One's 3, the other's 1. So
that's a little bit difficult now.
It's a challenge. That's why I'm not in Edinburgh right now. I've done, so just to sort of circle back. In 2018, I went there for a competition. 2019, I went there for a second competition called Amuse Moose, where I was one of the finalists. Again, I just went up there for like a long weekend and did the other spots, but that was the main reason. And then in 2022, obviously we took off a few years for COVID. 2020 shut off. 2021, they did a very sort of...
Well, I was there for, what was it, the 2022 Fringe?
Yeah.
So, and even then it was like barely back.
Yeah, I think that was the one where it was like, we're back, because that was the one where they said, okay, no restriction. I think 2020, I think there's one comic called Nathan Cassidy who did a run like during the pandemic.
What, they had like one audience member?
Yeah, I think it was very sort of...
I'm shocked they even did any. I feel like there was like a digital Fringe or something like that. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I think they tried to make it what it was, but obviously 2020 we were really in the midst of the pandemic, so nothing was really going on. 21, I think it was a scaled down sort of pandemic. They weren't fully back. And then 22, that was the one where I was like, okay, we're back. So a lot of acts who would have debuted there was almost like a bottleneck. So a load of acts were rushing to debut. And that was the year I debuted. And that was a couple months before my eldest was born. So that's how logistically I was able to make it work. But now, as I mentioned, because I'm I don't say the main parent, but I'm the one at home. Yeah, I'll get in trouble.
The favourite parent.
The favourite parent.
It's good this isn't going out anywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to get collared. But because I know logistically, it just throws everything out of whack if I'm going to be away for whatever reason. So anytime I am away, it has to be justifiable. And I can't justify a week, a month, not a week, a month away. Or even a month bringing them up with me. I can't even think about that in my head. Doing the show will be the escape. Performing for an hour will be the escape. If I'm with them all day, two kids like that, yeah, I couldn't do it. Being cooped up in a room in Edinburgh, no way.
Yeah, they can't. They're too young to really like understand what you do properly. Still.
Yeah, they don't understand. My 3 will be like, "Where are you going?" Like, we'll be like 7 o'clock. I'm going out for a gig. Where you going? I'm going to work. And it's like, all right. All right.
So they never like come along to see you do your thing. They never.
They have. So, but they were too young to acknowledge it. So I've done a few. They call them bring your own baby gigs.
Okay.
So the idea is they'll be run like midweek. So predominantly Tuesday to Thursdays at like 11 to midday. Right. And the idea is that kids under 15 months, parents come to the show.
Yeah.
And
they do this for like cinema as well. Where it's like you get like a £2 ticket to the cinema and you can bring your baby or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So the idea is for sort of young parents, obviously logistically it's hard to get away on a Saturday, Friday night. So during the week when you got your kid, and especially they're too young to really understand the language, as acts we can go do our normal adult sets. Their child on a Wednesday morning, just sort of they can have a little drink. They've got the child, there's other babies there they can play. And so I've done a few of those. So I brought my kids along to a few of those, but obviously they're too young to. I brought them when they were like 12 months, 15 months.
Right. Do you ever get heckled by like a child? Does the kid ever like interrupt you?
You have them crawling near the stage, and then you obviously just acknowledge it. It's a bit fun. It's a bit of but not like, because they don't really know what they're doing. So it's not like a bad thing. It's kind of cute actually that a baby's trying to climb onto the stage or sort of googling at you or whatever. So
no, because I did a panto in Scotland a couple of years ago, and Scottish children. They've got just the worst language you could possibly imagine. They will just come out with, like they'll come out with everything and anything at you, which is great because it was a panto situation.
Absolutely.
So I'd wonder if, like, when you do those bring your own baby shows,
because the kids are too young,
will just say stuff.
They're just googling at you. They're not saying anything useful. Or I've had the only other time I performed in front of young, well, not that young, but young kids is that I've done gigs on cruises. And
what's that like? You sort of mentioned that like before we started.
Yeah,
I've heard amazing and terrible things about those experiences from like magicians and like I know people who have worked like tech on cruises for shows as well.
It's unique. It's a weird one. Like the ones I've done a few different brands. One of the brands I've done that will remain nameless is that they basically wanted family. They call it family friendly comedy, and you're performing one show which is half an hour 3 times in the same evening, so at 8 o'clock, 9:30, and 11. And they want all 3 shows, even 11 o'clock show, to be family friendly. If you're on a cruise ship and you're out, like, there are different type of people that come to these cruise ships. Some of them are families with young kids that are like 9, 10 or whatever. Yeah. Some of them are just couples who this could be one of their 30th or their 40th or whatever.
That's just people who like buy there's like a package where you can just drink for free the whole time.
So there's different packages that you come on. Some have drink packages, which you're alluding to there, where you basically pay a daily amount and you just get unlimited drinks.
Is that what you, like when you work there, you get everything? Or?
Hey, you're making this sound too good, Tom. No, it's not that nice. It's not that nice. So you get access to the buffets, you get complimentary food. Right. And you get a discount on your drinks if you want any drink. So you get water for free, but if you wanted a soft drink, you wanted a soft drink or anything stronger, 50%.
Imagine they made you pay for your water as a comedian.
Oh, come on. You gotta go. That's human rights now. That's a violation right there. So we wouldn't get. But that's the thing. If you get friendly, like a few times, there was a group of people who they took a liking to me and my comedy. They'll be like, come drink with us.
Sure, of course.
So because they grow it on the tab. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna be familiar with you guys the whole trip. They just So
how long was that? What, like a 3-week thing?
A week. Yeah, you go on for a week. So with these cruises, so they expected the family friendly jokes from 8 9:30, 11. And I remember what I would do, and this is, I can accept some responsibility here. For my first, you do 3 different sets. You do one half an hour on one night 3 times. Then a few days later, you may do a different half an hour 3 times. And then you do a 7th show. And that show is the one where you could be naughty in adult theme. Right, okay. But I'll be a bit lazy. So the first time I go on for the first half an hour, I will take what I'm doing on the circuit as like a 20-minute set. And I'll forget to remove the naughty jokes. Right. So I had a joke at the time. I don't really do it now, but it was about eating ass. But
of all the things.
But believe it or not, it is going to sound crazy. It's a prostate cancer awareness joke.
Okay.
So
it's for the right reason.
It's for the right reason. It sounds crazy.
A good cause.
It's for a good cause. It's a prostate cancer awareness joke. But I did it. And I remember, and people will laugh, and I'll see the kids running around, but I'll try to take out the rude words and hopefully it goes over their heads.
It's like a Disney film when they sort of reference things and you watch it like 10 years later and you're like, they were talking about anal beads in
how many songs
Aladdin?
Did we sing as kids that we didn't know it was naughty or look at 50 Cent Candy Shop? I'm just thinking, he's saying the lollipop. I'm thinking it's just sweet, let alone that, hey, he's talking about different type of lollipop.
There was a strip club actually, like right around the corner from where I grew up. It was called the Candy Store. And we were like, can we go to the candy store?
Yeah, why not?
And parents were like, no, we can't. And I was like, why not?
What?
Yeah.
Give us some candy. Yeah. So
you're talking about eating us on stage.
And I got a complaint.
In front of 3-year-olds.
They were like 6, come on. But and then some of them complain. I'm like, why is your kid running around at 11 o'clock? Anyway, so I got in trouble. I got called into the office, the entertainment office on the cruise, and I was told, we had a complaint that he's talking about all of this. And I'm trying to educate people, but there we go.
Called in like first day as well.
Yeah, called
like the one rule is make it for kids, and then you called in.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to raise awareness. Your clientele needs this. If you look at the age of your clientele, most of them are of that age, so they need to hear this. But it was fine. So. So I don't like them too much, but I've done one recently with one brand, and they were really good because they basically made it like a comedy club, so you can come on, you can do your normal set, half an hour, adult themed. There's no sort of restrictions on it. So that brand, I think they're doing it right. But the ones I've done before, I wasn't a big fan of. But it's just one of those things where you do them because the money's decent, but they come with restrictions. And I think if someone's paying you, they dictate the rules.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So then when you're on cruises or like when you're touring, do you tend to like write your show that you're going to do before you go, or like do you come up with stuff when you're out and about? Do you
I'm more prepared. So like when I'm going on tour later this year, it'll be a show. So I would have prepared the material. I'm doing previews to get the material sort of right and the show right as a cohesive unit.
Sure.
And when people come, they will hopefully get a show which is sort of polished. The jokes are rapid, they're ready, they're firing. But obviously I'm always willing to be loose. Even if I perform a 10 minute set, even if I'm trying out new material, there's jokes I want to try out, but I'm always willing to be loose. If something happens in the room, hey, let's see what's going on there. Let's vibe. But I'm not even when I'm MC gigs, I'm not like I'm going for you. It's just not my style. Everyone's got a different style, and that's not my style. I can tease someone and we can tease something out if there's something to be teased out. But my style is very much like I'm a storyteller. So I want to bring you into my world and the stories I'm telling. I'm a bit self-absorbent in that way.
Do you like MCing then? Because I feel like that's an entirely different skill.
Oh, it's a completely different skill. Yeah, because when you're the MC or the host of a show, your job is to get the vibe right for the comedians to do their thing. So it's not really about you. You're the link between the audience and the comedians that are about to perform. So you're on the audience side. You're the audience's friend, and you're like, hey friends, here are my friends that are going to come perform. So show them love, show them energy, and you want to provide a nice platform so the comedian can just do their thing and perform to the best of their ability. So it's about, a bit of crowd work, as you have to do, tease people, get the vibe going, speak to people. And everyone's got a different style how they do it. Some people can be a bit more gun-ho. I'm a bit more, let's find out about you. There's some commonality.
From what I've seen of your crowd work, it's a lot more friendly than most people. So
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people feel attacked, but I feel like you're just chatting,
I'm just trying to chat,
making friends with people.
And there's always something that you can work with. There's always something that you can work with. And it's not, I won't even say it's my strong point. Like I put bits out there. Sometimes I get lucky and there's a bit of gold and my mind's just firing. It just trust in what comes to your mind because is unplanned. You don't know what someone's gonna say, so you just have to trust yourself. And as you get a bit more experience, what will come to your head will be funnier. And it's just trusting myself that okay, this comes to my head, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, because if you start filtering, then it's not quick enough, and you just have to trust yourself.
Yeah. I feel like, because I see so many comedians where like they are like very prepared and they try to do some crowd work and they just fall flat on their face. It's entirely different.
It's an entirely different skill, and it's not easy. But if you can do it right, and if you do it successfully and do it well, sky's the limit. There's so many examples of comedians in recent years who
it's like that whole thing. It was like the James Acaster did the what was it, Heckler's Welcome or something like that.
It
was all about just like inviting people to heckle.
Yes, I never saw the show, but I think that's an interesting concept. I like it.
Yeah. How do you like hecklers? How do you deal with them? Have you had any like horror story? I feel like every comedian's got
I've got a horror story. So as I alluded to earlier in this interview, where I had this lady from Bristol. So when I was working at my first show, I took a preview to Bristol, and that was one of the first time. That's the first time I performed in Bristol actually. And I came to the bit of the show where I've been a bit serious, and I was talking about the coroner's court and being summoned, and I was telling the audience that I didn't know where this was going to happen. I was worried about my career. My mum saying this, and I just heard a bit of commotion at the back, and then this lady stands up. She's like, "You're lying to these people.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to be charged of manslaughter. It's just about finding out this and that. You're an embarrassment to the NHS. You're making lawyers like us." And she just like storms out and this, that, and the other. And everyone's like, whoa. And I was like, I'm not lying. She's like, you're lying. And it's funny because on the one hand, most of the stuff I said prior to that were lies. They were jokes. I take the truth. Usually with my jokes, I take the truth and I add a lie to make it funny.
Yeah, of course.
So it'll be based in some grounding of truth, and then I add a lie to make it funny. That was me being honest and truthful, which was the irony. She didn't complain about the lies. She complained about the truth and said I was lying. Which, she can make that claim. So she left, and then fortunately there was a guy in the room who, the room was on my side, and we're trying to like get the vibe back. And I was like, where was I? What was I saying? And one guy said, you're lying about something, which was hilarious. I gave him a high five, and that sort of broke the ice, and we got back into the show, which was nice. So sometimes the audience members can be just as funny or even funnier than you, and that could be the clip sometimes. So you just have to roll with it. But yeah, that was wild. And funny, most of the comments are like, who comes to comedy for the truth anyway?
People just want to laugh. I think that's a big thing that like a lot of comedians talk about, where they say like, oh, all my stories are true, and it's like, who really cares?
I think it's to give that authenticity.
Yeah,
I know obviously some people like you sound like you see through it, but the idea is that you give this authenticity that I'm keeping it real, I'm being honest and stuff like that. But it doesn't always. People lie. If everyone just told the story verbatim as it happened, I don't think comedy will be as successful.
I think even like a little bit, like it's a tiny bit of a lie to like exaggerate and turn something into a joke, or like tweak the way a story happens for comedic effect.
Yeah, of course,
it's absolutely fine.
Well, yeah, you embellish it to make it funny. That's what comedians do. We have these observations. Well, it depends on what type of comedian you are, but if you're an observational comedian, you have these observations about everyday life, things that happen to you or you've observed, and then you find the humor in it. But to make it really funny, you got to add your own spice to it. That's how it works. That's the job. If you just tell it verbatim, it's not going to be funny. People are just like, why is this worth telling us?
Yeah.
You have to justify why you're telling this story.
Comedy, yeah.
Absolutely. You have to justify why you're... Like, I think, anyway, if someone's paying money, everything you say must be worth being paid, worth paying to listen to, if that makes sense.
It's such a weird sensation, isn't it? To be like doing what you want to do, but then also have that pressure of like,
of course,
people are paying to come and see me do this thing.
Yeah, so you can't just go and start meandering and just started doing so what do you do? And you know what I mean? Like, you got to make, I think anyway, if I'm performing, it doesn't mean, and this is not to say you don't talk to the audience, I definitely talk to the audience, but if people are paying money, I need to make sure it's worth their while. And if I'm going to say something on stage, comedy is very arrogant.
Yeah.
Comedy is essentially saying to people, my thoughts are so good, you should pay to come and listen to them. That's essentially what comedy is. You know, what I'm going to say to you is worth you taking time out of your evening, paying a babysitter, getting food, getting drinks, and coming to hear what I've got to say. So I think if someone's going to go to all that trouble, at least make what you're saying valuable. And at least let it be something that they can't hear it anywhere else. You know, you want to be unique as a comedian, that you've got this unique perspective that can't really be copied. Can't really, like, if they have to hear this from you. Only you can say this. Only you can package this joke like this And hopefully that's what I try to be as unique as possible. So if they're coming to see me, they know, okay, only he can do that.
Yeah.
You know?
So then how did you get to the point where, like, because you said the way you sort of started out was you would like have the one-liners in the group, you were sort of like the clown or whatever. But how does that translate to going on stage and trying things out and finding your own voice? Because it's a really difficult thing to do.
It started off, it's funny because my first couple years on the open mic circuit, I didn't talk about being a doctor. I didn't mention it.
Really?
I didn't know. I kind of stayed away from it. I guess I was doing comedy that I thought I should be doing. In terms of, I'll probably focus more on being a Londoner or being a young black Londoner or growing up in South
trying to just
London.
like copy people that you'd seen maybe.
I think you look at people, I think everyone can tell the truth about this, but I think you see comedians that you like and then you try to emulate them
of course
in your own sort of way. And then you probably for the first year or two, you're probably doing a parody of that comedian until you sort of step back and realize, okay, I probably should do more my stuff. Like I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle, I'm a big fan of Patrice O'Neill, and if I'm being brutally honest, probably the early stuff was parodies of them, but in my own voice. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, let me just scrap that. There's funny in what my experience and my stuff that I've gone through. I think the first few are probably trying to find out, are you funny? Because obviously you have this delusion that you can be, and then you're proving it to the audience, but you're also proving it to yourself when you go on stage, these open mic gigs, that am I funny? Is there funny in this? And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I can be funny. Okay, now can I be funny talking about what I want to talk about?
Yeah.
And then when you start making that transition, and then when comics start making that transition, that's when they start finding their own voice. Okay, I want to talk about this. I can be funny talking about it. I'm telling my story. And then you decide where you want to go. And then I've kind of moved it more into more storytelling, observational. It's about me and my life, but there will be reflection on general life in the stuff.
So then, like, did you just try everything else before that? were you throwing out props on stage?
No,
at one
I
point?
would never. I was always sort of straight stand up. I was always telling jokes and storytelling. I think fortunately enough, I didn't have to do too much trial and error. Like I would do trial and error in terms of the jokes I will tell and see if they got better. But my style hasn't varied. I was never like a prop comedian or a musical comedian or slapstick or anything like that.
There's always time.
You never know. I could start juggling on stage.
You good at piano?
No, that's the thing. I can play the steel pans, but that's it. That'd be a hard gig to.
That'd be difficult.
That'd be very difficult to go from da and then slinging a joke. Yeah.
I mean, it's naturally comedic, but I don't think it would work. Very well. I think stick with what you're doing. It's going pretty well at the moment.
It's going all right. It's going all right. So I think the straight stand up. So I'm fortunate enough. I never had to go too far. I was never like a character comic or anything like that. Fortunately, I was lucky enough that through straight stand-up, I was able to sort of gravitate and sort of move closer to finding my own voice, and I think I've got there now. Like I'm probably still. I'm 9 years in, so
was that like a gradual thing for you to find your own? Because I'm so fascinated by it because you do have such a unique thing that you do as opposed to other. Like you see different comedians, and they've kind of got just like a personality, but you've got like a thing that you like tend to talk about as well. And I feel like that's why people come to see you. Is like you talk about your kids, you talk about being in the NHS, which is quite fun. It's quite unique. And so like, was it? I'm always fascinated to know how people like find their voice because it can be quite a dramatic thing sometimes.
No, of course, and that's the early stages. The early years of comedy is finding your voice, finding out who you are on stage, finding your voice, finding essentially your brand, your USP, because that's essentially what it is. When all comics are walking, talking brands, they're walking, talking sort of businesses, brands, and then hopefully whatever your brand is, enough people like it that they want to come see it. So whilst you're finding your voice, there's another side which definitely the last few years I've become more conscious of. Is that okay? You are a brand. When you put out your material, who is this for? Who's gonna see this and be like, I can relate to this. I can identify with this. And definitely with my social media in the last probably year or two, I've definitely honed in on that. Be like, okay, well, a lot, not everything, but a lot of my stuff is sort of based in healthcare and medical humor and things of that ilk. So lean into that. And there's other aspects of me, you know, that, as you know now, father, got 2 kids. I'm a bit into my fitness as well. So I may have the odd sort of joke of that, but lean heavily into that. So that could be my yardstick. And then I could do jokes on that and people can see that and be like, okay, I like that. I relate to that. I work in healthcare, or they're just maybe a lay person that's just interested in healthcare. So they want to come and hear my jokes and perspective on them. But I'm always conscious to make them lay people friendly. You don't have to work in the health service to get the jokes. That's what something I'm very conscious of. Like, I'll make it realistic so people that do work in the health service understand, okay, this is coming from a real place, but it's not so hard that someone that doesn't work in healthcare, like, what's he on about? What's he on about? So it's finding that sweet spot. That's what I'm always looking for, finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, I think a lot of the humor comes from like the educational bit as well. I feel like that's a really big thing. I don't know if that was a weird thing in comedy, maybe not at the start, but I feel like it's a big thing now where like you go and you like learn a bunch of stuff as well as, you know, and you teach people stuff about the NHS that they didn't know.
Yeah. Like, I've got a bit from my last show where it's talking about CPR and talking about like I was taught to do it to the beat of Staying Alive, and there is true. You aim, the idea, you find a song, you can do it to any song, but usually they say aim for a song that has 100 to 120 beats per minute. And if you do it to that beat, that's the
I feel like that's when I was a kid and I learned like CPR, that's what they said to do it to as well.
Yeah, to the Bee Gees.
Everyone kind of knows, any Bee Gees, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. The Bee Gees, or there's the people nowadays, people say Nelly the Elephant and there's other songs. Another one, which I don't recommend, but you could do it to Another One Bites the Dust. So there's all these songs you can sort of do it to, and I just talk about, and I've got a joke about that, and which again, based on a true story, which I add bits to make it funny. But in that scenario, for example, have you heard what a DNAR is? Have you come across it?
I don't think so.
So it's a hospital. It's basically clinical decision. So hospitals and clinicians will put an order on someone that they feel that if their heart stops, that we don't rush in and do CPR. You don't resuscitate. That doesn't mean you don't treat them. So let's say they're in for a chest infection. You're still giving them antibiotics, still giving them fluids, still giving them oxygen.
So but if they're dying, you sort of you stroll.
Yeah. If you see that their heart is stopping, like you don't feel a pulse or any cardiac output, and you think they've gone into cardiac arrest, i.e. their heart stopped, you don't jump on the chest to restart the heart. That's essentially what it means.
Sure.
So it's usually a hospital decision, but you usually discuss it with the patient, discuss it with the family. So there's an understanding that this is what's been agreed. Cool. So true story, I was on a ward one time. I don't think it was even my ward. I was on the ward, and the emergency buzzer goes off. So you run to see what's going on. And then they're like, person X is unconscious.
Right.
All right, cool. Do they have a DNAR? Someone open up the notes. There's none here. All right, let's start CPR.
Sure.
Boom, we go for a few moments, doing the chest compression. Someone's getting the trolley in, the resus trolley. We're going to stick the pads on, get going. Unfortunately, she comes around. Cool. It was only after, I think it was after like maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe max 5 minutes. So we didn't have to shock her or anything like that.
Right.
Cool. As we're all sort of debriefing about what's going on, someone comes in and the DNAR form had slipped out the front of the note. So it was hole punched incorrectly.
Out of all the sheets in the file as well.
It's the front sheet. So if you have paper notes in the hospital, that will always be the front. It's in bright red. You can't miss it. And because it was hole punch incorrect, it literally slipped out the front of the notes. So we weren't meant to do that, but we acted in her best interest because we didn't know she was DNA. It was like, is it there? No. Okay, continue, as you would do. So obviously I told that story on stage, and it's kind of... and obviously I didn't make it a bit funny and whatnot, but that's the example. That's a perfect example of taking something that actually happened and turn it into a joke, but using an opportunity to sort of educate the audience, but also have a bit of fun with it. So it's a hard line to sort of straddle, but I like to think I get away with it.
I imagine there's a sort of like dark humor among people who work in healthcare, because like you have to in order to be able to get through it,
to survive. Yeah, if as the old adage goes, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. You know, and you need to. You see something traumatic, and the expectation is you just get on. So you need that escape. Humor is the escape. There's it's either humor or other sort of dark vices, smoking, alcohol, whatever, to get through and numb the pain. Because you see traumatic things, and you have to get to a point where you can sort of compartmentalize it. Humor is one way to quickly diffuse a scenario and whatnot. So so I definitely think, and that's probably why a lot of healthcare staff gravitate towards the stuff I do, because they see some relatability in that, and they probably use humor too to sort of get through their dark days as well.
So does that help you, like, when you've got patients as well? Like, I imagine there's some people who can sort of take on that humor and joke about it. Maybe older patients who are at the end of their life. I love when like old people who are at the end of their life can like just make the worst, most horrible jokes.
Absolutely, yeah. They got the license to. That's the thing. They can go for it, and it's kind of like, all right, cool. Like, you know, hey, I wouldn't say that, but you go ahead, sir. You know what I mean? So, but that's the thing, I don't make too many jokes at work. So people always ask me, oh, you must be like this with your patients. Time and place. Time and place. Like, I think I'm bubbly and I think I'm jovial. You know, I like to think, oh, you're right, how you doing? Have a bit of banter. Like, you know, like if I'm working in A&E, I'm like, oh, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Want me in A&E, aren't I? So, well, that's fair enough.
You don't like use like sort of people at the end of their life to like try out new jokes. You're not quite sure about it and you've got to go on in Edinburgh. You're like, I'll give it a go. And they don't laugh and you're like, right, I'll save it for next year. Or...
I've not, no. Believe it or not, I've not.
It's an idea.
It's an idea. One for the future. But no, I've definitely, no, I'm not. I guess that's the thing. Weirdly enough, when I'm at work, I'm kind of like in work mode. I'm not trying to get the laugh.
Yeah.
I guess I understand.
There's enough things to think about.
Yeah. I know when it's time to switch it on. I think that's the most important thing. I think knowing when, okay, you're not. There are things I can take in. Oh, that if I take that, I can make that into a bit and I work out on stage. But I guess it's one of the things where you know, this is time to switch it on. This is time to switch it off. You know. So that even with kids, like there's no. When I'm with my kids, I'm not comedian.
Yeah. Like, are you thinking about like when they do stuff that's funny? Do you like sort of jot it down in your brain?
If they do something that is outrageous or whatever, or even like the other week, like they were badgering me all day, all morning. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the park. Let's go to the park. That's all right, fine. I relented. I said, okay, let's go to the park. And it's a 10-minute drive from my house to this said park. And in those 10 minutes, they both fell asleep. They were out cold. And I was like, and I just recorded them for my stories. Like, these are the kids that let me go to the park. Let me go to the park. This is them. The same kids that were badgering me to go to the park. Out cold, 10 minutes. So it's stuff like that I may put onto my story. But if it's something that they do outrage, that's really, really funny. I may write it down to put it in my set. But I guess there's a trope which people get. Some critics in comedy complain about that. Comedians, especially when they come parents, do the whole, oh, my kid is so crazy sort of jokes. And I try, maybe that criticism's gone into my head. So I always try to stray away from putting that into my stand-up. But if something's funny, you know what I mean?
So yeah, then where else do you look for, like, how do you look for and where else do you look for, like, new jokes, humor? Like, how do you go about creating? Because like I've spoken to quite a few musicians and I'm always fascinated. I feel like it's a similar, obviously different because it's a different format, but like some musicians, they come up with like the lyrics first, some come up with a beat first. I feel like comedians are all different as well. There's no one size fits all. Like
it's just stuff that I find fun. If I find something funny or something about me that I may notice. So this is a bit. I've written it down. It won't go in this show, but it's something that I've observed about myself. So I like true crime. I watch a lot of true crime documentaries, and I will, if I'm watching, and I usually like the ones where it's from when the incident happened to investigating, and at the end they get the perpetrators. So I'll be watching. There was one where I was watching it, and it was a sad case. A kid got murdered kid was 19, but he got murdered in Kent, and they showed the CCTV of it. And now the clock's ticking. These numbnuts that committed the murder, after committing the murder, they walked into the local KFC, the murderer and his accomplice, and then they changed clothes. So they walked into an area where there's got to be CCTV after committing the murder, and changed clothes. I was like, how stupid can you be? Like, and I was telling myself, I would never do that. And it's like, hold on, Michael, you wouldn't commit the murder in the first place. So why are you here being like, I want to do that? I want to go into KFC with CCTV. It's like, it's stuff like that where I'm watching this and I'm putting myself in the scenario. And I'm like, if I was a murderer, what I would do? And it's like, hold on, you wouldn't be a murderer. And it's just stuff like that. I'm less angry. I've watched so much true crime. I'm less angry about the murder and I'm more angry about the stupidity. And that, which is a problem in itself. And I think you can get desensitized to watching too much. But I wasn't even that angry about them. I was angry that they're dumb. They're idiots. And criminals are dumb. You know, the fact that you thought you could, one, murder someone and get away with it, but two, after committing the murder, go get
chicken.
They didn't even get food. They just went to use the toilets.
Yeah.
Surely,
you could have done this anywhere. Yeah.
This country is probably got the most CCTV in Europe. There's a stat that probably will back that up somewhere. So there's a lot of CCTV. That's the point I'm trying to make. So why would you go to a place where you know it's going to have CCTV after commit? Anyway, see how passionate I'm getting now. Yeah. So I was just more, something like that genuinely annoys me. I would like to find a humor in it. And it's because I've watched so much of it. And it's noticing that about sort of myself. And that will be something that I'll take and because I feel so passionate about it, I'll write it down and I would try and make it into a bit. I'll try it out on the night and see where I can find the funny in that and punch it up. And then that's just an example of where I'm noticing myself getting that. If I get annoyed by something, it usually, and I always say the things to talk about on stage, my rule of 3, and I learned this from Dave Chappelle. He mentioned it one time. You have to find it funny, find it interesting, and be knowledgeable about it. Those are my 3. I always have to make sure if I'm going to go on stage with a topic, find it funny. True, I find it interesting. Because even if I'm not the funny bit, hopefully it's interesting enough that people are like, oh, okay, what's that about? Or what's this about? And then I'm knowledgeable by it, because that's how you defeat hecklers. You were talking about hecklers earlier.
Yeah.
If you know what you're talking about, you can set up your joke in a way that's tight. You give less space for hecklers to butt in. But if you don't know what you're talking about, or what your setup isn't tight, then that's the space for someone to come, oh, that's not right, that's not true, that's not this. And when you're on stage, you got the mic, you have authority. And if there's someone that stands up without a mic and is demonstrating more authority than you because they're more knowledgeable than you, then you're losing the power, you're losing the room. So that's my rule. I make sure I know, I'm not going to talk about something I don't know about on stage. Yeah. Because that's arrogant in itself. You need to know what you're talking about, because by chance, there will be someone that knows more than you in the room.
Yeah. I mean, is that the case on social media then? Because I feel like social media, like people just post things and it doesn't matter what, even if it's a joke, it doesn't need to be something factual, non-factual, whatever. There will just be people who just come at you with the opposite knowledge all the time.
Yeah, but then I think that
obviously it's different.
Yeah, obviously on social media, I try not to talk about things that I don't know about. That's my thing. I think sometimes saying nothing is the best option. You don't have to impart your wisdom on everything. Sometimes knowing when to shut the fuck up could do you the world of good. Because I find it nowadays, social media, because people want to go viral so quickly. They just want to give their 2 pence on everything. Sometimes you can stand back. Just watch from the sidelines. You don't have to get involved in every play. Especially if you don't know, you're not knowledgeable in that area. It's fine.
And people love to fight as well. People absolutely love to just fight each other in the comments.
They want people to stay on these apps. So conflict is good in that from the social media. If you're a social media company, you're loving it, because you go to your avatar to say, hey, people stay on the app for hours and all they're doing is fighting back. But I try to at least be knowledgeable about what I'm talking about. So at least maybe this is because of my background as a doctor. So people see doctors as intelligent and scholars or whatever. So I don't want to be this clickbaity person that just says something controversial without any evidence to back it up. If I'm going to say something controversial, at least let me have what I consider stats and facts to back up my opinion. You can disagree with my opinion, but you can't say you're just making that up or you're just this, you're just that. At least I've made a well-reasoned argument. You know?
Yeah.
That's my take, because because going viral, rage baiting, it doesn't make sense, because you can't formulate an audience with that. If you're just rage baiting people are going to associate with you with getting angry, getting upset, not I want to spend an hour with this guy at his show.
So then do you find it difficult, because like, again, I feel like it's kind of annoying for everyone nowadays. Like, nobody who's an artist in any right, whether they be an actor, musician, comedian, like, enjoys making content. But you sort of have to.
Oh,
it's necessary the job.
Oh yeah, no, it's now. Especially a few weeks ago, I don't know when this is going to be published, but a few weeks ago, it was announced that Live at the Apollo will cease to be.
Really?
Yeah. So it's ending.
Oh no, I missed that.
So after 22 years, Live at the Apollo will be no more. I think it's a numbers game.
Really?
Yeah, I think BBC are saying, they need to save some money and cut funding and things of that ilk. So
the whole Trump lawsuit thing, I guess.
Well, obviously looking for 10 billion. I don't know how far Trump's getting with that 10 billion, but yeah, they're saying they need to save money, so they're curtailing it.
Oh wow, no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so as a comic, that was on every comic's vision board. You're a liar if you're a comedian in the UK saying that you didn't, or an ambition of yours wasn't Live at the Apollo. So it's now that is the fact that the industry is shifting in that way demonstrates even more that you have to build your own audience online. There's no real other way of making it in a sense, because there is Edinburgh, and I will always say, with going up to the Fringe, there will be a few people that win. Statistically, it's not the best odds. I think out of the hundreds, maybe up to 1,000.
What's a win?
I think a win is typically either getting nominated for one of the two prizes, either newcomer or sort of best show, because that gets the industry's attention. And if you're lucky enough to sort of secure a deal of some sort, whether it's a development deal with a production company or a channel, they want to give you a show or something of that ilk. You know, maybe you secured a booking on QI or something like that. You know, because there's a fewer and less panel shows for you to go on to showcase your talent. But if you go
that
up
is
there,
going away as well. All the traditional routes for comedies. I mean, they're there. But
they're less than obviously. Mock the Week got taken off to BBC now. It's on a channel called TLC. There's rumours that TLC may be interested in taking Live at the Apollo there. That remains to be seen. Right. But there are less and less sort of what we would call the traditional avenues to sort of get a leg up in comedy. So now social media is your leg up. That is your only real way. And it has worked for many people. So we know it does work. It's a slog. Yeah. And you have to be consistent. You have to be coming up with content ideas. And I spend more time writing and recording and editing content ideas or content than I do my stand-up. Yeah. Which is the wrong balance.
That's mental.
Which is the wrong balance, but it's necessary. Otherwise, I can write a show, preview it, work it out. It could be brilliant if no one knows about it. What's the point?
Yeah. So how do you? The only way you get it out there is via social media.
Absolutely, you need to put bums on seats. Yeah. And the industry will listen. It's a weird one now. So traditionally, the model was go up to write a good show, go up to Edinburgh with the cost associated with that, which we can't ignore because it's very expensive. But you work on a show, take it up to Edinburgh, and hopefully you have a good run there where it's critical reviews, people are interested in you, and then you sort of blow up that way. Yeah, that was the traditional model for most of the comics that we name that are famous now. That would have been the model I
feel like that's only recent. I mean, it's still possible, but it's I would say it's like acting as well. I always give the acting analogies. Like you think of like your Ian McKellens, your Maggie Smiths. You got people who sort of came up through the stage, and then the film kind of became a thing. But now you get like Tom Hollands, and you get people who like blow up, and it's a completely different thing. And now you get YouTubers, right, who like kind of blow up, and then there's Obsession, right, which came out recently, and all these horror films which are coming out, which are all about just YouTube creators basically getting enough money to like make their own content. And now like Hollywood's kind of dying. It's like a decentralization of course, it's the same thing in comedy.
It's the same thing. It's phones. People are on their phones, and it's a numbers game. You know, you can prove you don't need to go to a production company and say, I've got this idea and stuff like this. It's almost that you can prove a concept. If you can prove a concept with the numbers online, then that's your evidence to go to these production companies and say, either give me the money, let's do this, because this is evidence it works, or you're able to secure funding from whatever way and just do it yourself. That's the way. The aforementioned gatekeepers aren't as powerful as they once were. They still have power, don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong, but it's not the same. It's not the only way. There are other avenues to get it. You just have to be determined to be consistent and every day trying to put something out every day. So that's the slog. Yeah. But you know, you can. There's evidence. There's too many people that are evidence of the fact that it works. But so, that's the way now.
So then, like, what's the difference then for you between writing a stand-up bit versus a TikTok bit? Or is it the exact same?
No, it's different. It's different. And it took me a while to understand the two. So when I started, it's funny enough, when I started 9 years ago now, I was already a bit conscious of this sort of dichotomy that it says online and offline. Online and the stage.
Just like Vine back in the day. But...
Exactly. So I started in 2017. I did my first stand-up gig in 2017. I remember when I started, I was writing. So I wasn't good at either. So that's red. You're not going to be good if you're just starting. So you're not going to be good at either. So I was trying to write bits for the stage, working at finding my voice, all that good. And I was trying to do these sketches. And I was more comfortable on stage than I was with the sketches, because at least on stage, there's no record of it, so to speak. The problem is that you can do a joke live and then 10 seconds move on to another joke. There's no recording of it. The people in the room will remember. They may not remember. You forget sometimes when you're sitting in an audience, there may be, someone may tell 10 jokes. You may remember 3 of them and be like, I like those 3 jokes. And you may forget the other ones that you thought were duds. Sure. You know, depending on what you remember. So you may think, oh my goodness, they really didn't laugh at that joke. But they may not be too conscious of it. Whereas online, you put out a skit that doesn't bang, it's there forever. And I was like, oh my goodness, like if I put out stuff and people think, oh, this guy's rubbish. So I was trying to do both. And I realized with the time I had, I was working full time at them time. I didn't have the kids, but I was working full time. So I was like, there's no way I can work full time, do gigs in the evening, but also find time to write sketches. I was just like, something's got to give. So I kind of forwent the online stuff. So let me focus on one and get good at getting on stage. And over time, I was getting better to the point where I did Edinburgh 22, and I did a small tour off that. I think the Hype Edinburgh did okay for a first tour. Then when I did my second tour, which I felt the material was better than the first one, I didn't have the same momentum without going to Edinburgh, I think. I don't know, but it didn't sell as well.
Right.
As well as I would have liked. Some rooms did well, okay, but I didn't sell as well as I thought it would do. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm in this conundrum where I think I've got a good product, a good show, but I'm struggling to get people to come to the show. So that's when I went and I put this third tour on sale. That's why I said, okay, I need to have a strong online presence and it's not completely strong, but stronger online presence, stronger online identity that I'm making content that people will see and be like, okay, I now want to go and see him in a show. So that's why for definitely the last 12 months plus, I've been really focused on a lot of the medical content online. Cause I was like, okay, that's a group or an identity that will see me and be like, oh, that's what he does. Okay, I like that. I want to go see him live. So I put out content almost as an ad to be like, okay, come, you like this, come see a show. So what my plan, don't mind sharing it, is that I put out sketches because I find they travel a lot quicker, faster than stand-up. And now I went to a seminar that Meta Instagram put on a few years ago where they're showing the charts in terms of reels. What does better? It's mainly sketches and skits compared to stand-up. Stand-up was like 5% of the reels that do well. This is a few years ago. So I put out sketches because they will travel faster. And hopefully the people that followed those, I can then put out stand-up clips related to healthcare that people will hopefully like. And then they like, okay, I like this skit. I like his stand-up. Let's go see him live. Yeah. That's the formula that I'm working with. That's the funnel that I'm still working in. See the skit. Oh, I like that skit. Okay. See a stand-up clip. Oh, I like that. Okay. I'm on tour. Oh, okay, you do this. So, cause I think sometimes people can build up followings with skits and then they try to transfer to stand-up and there may not be a stand-up naturally because I guess if you're funny online, because there's different skill set. Funny with a phone, funny with a mic. So I think some people probably are funny on their phone, funny, build up a massive following and then they're probably asking themselves, how do I monetize this following? And then they, with their management, it's like, well, why don't you do a tour? And then if they've not built up the chops, it's not something you can learn overnight. There's no shortcuts for stand-up, unfortunately. You're there on that stage more time alone. You can't take shortcuts, unfortunately. There's no quick way, even if you could try to speed up the process by doing many gigs a night, but it's one of the things where it takes time. It takes time.
And you're competing against such a big market online as well. Like I was looking up the other day, I was looking up like who are the biggest Twitch streamers? Because I don't watch Twitch or anything like that, and I thought it was going to be gamers, and it turns out no, I don't know anyone's name. This is all like weird like gamer names. People probably know who I'm talking about, but it's like people who just do almost like a variety show online, and they're not comedians. They don't go and tour, but like sometimes they'll game, sometimes they interview people, sometimes they're doing a stupid sketch, and you're competing against all that as well. And then you're trying to sell tickets to a show. Which
online,
is just
you're fighting. You're not just trying to compete with other comedians. You're competing with people's feed, and that's why you have to try and make sure your content looks good, sounds good, all that type of stuff. Because even a clip from this interview may pop up on someone's feed, and we all do. You give someone a few seconds, see what they're talking about. Not interested, see ya.
Yeah, I know.
Bang.
It is crazy.
Bang. Bang. And we're as comics, I'm putting out content, whether it's stand-up or a skit, and it goes out into the ether. It goes out into the ether where it's competing with all these other forms of sort of content. So you're really battling. We're all fighting for attention. It's this crazy system where we're all battling for people's attention, and you just have to hope that you find your little corner of the internet, that there's enough people there that you can sustain yourself off your small group. So that's why there's power in trying to form like a community or a niche that you can speak to. So instead of it just being
like an offline community as well, like people who have seen your stuff and they come back to see it.
100%. So you want to hopefully build something that people feel a part of. So you got this really small corner of the internet that likes you and messes with you. That's why I sometimes do different sort of strands of content, but I try to stick. That's why I've predominantly stuck to medicals, because people can there's a group of people that can identify with that. And also, to be fair, I've seen. And another impetus for that was seeing it. There's a comic based out in LA. His name's Nurse John. So he's a nurse by trade. Right. I don't know. Have you come across him before?
No.
So he's got like 9 million on TikTok, I think like 5 million on Instagram. It's huge. And I don't know his origin story. I don't know if he was a stand-up, then went to the skits, or he was doing the skits then went to the stand-up. I don't know. But what I do know is that since he started touring, he's doing huge numbers worldwide. And one, like for example, let's just play a game. He came to London earlier this year. Guess which venue in London he performed at?
I'll say, just because you said it, Hammersmith Apollo. No.
Bigger.
Was it O2?
Nah, not that big. Not that big. Not that big.
Well, come on.
Yeah. Beyond
you said bigger, so I went bigger.
Yeah, you went very big. No.
Wembley.
Yeah, Wembley Arena.
Was it Wembley?
Yeah, not stadium, but Wembley Arena. I think that's 12,000 seats.
Wow, right.
And this is someone who, you know, because that's not your world, you can walk past him on the street and not know who he is. And that's someone that in a country, in a city.
Happens all the time, though. There's like musicians, I've never heard of them, and they're selling out the O2 or 100%. Something like that.
And I think nowadays, especially with the internet and with traditional media not being what it was, because before you had to go to traditional media and you're getting blown out to the masses. Now, with social media, you get pushed out and hopefully you find your little niche, but your little niche could be millions of people. And that corner of the internet knows you and they rock with you, they mess with you hard. But other people, you know, if you're not into music or you're not into nursing or whatever it is, you're not going to know who this person is. But that, in their world, they're huge. But you're almost like, it's kind of nice balance that you can go about your daily business, but still be able to shift 12,000 tickets. So when I saw that, and I think last year, the year prior, he did Royal Albert Hall twice. And this is someone whose brand is nursing, healthcare sort of humor. So I was like, okay, seeing is believing. So if I can see that through focusing on something I thought when I started was probably too small to really make work, if I can see that you can shift crazy amount of tickets like that, then it's proof's in the pudding. So, you know, since that day, I said, okay, I'm not going to stop with this medical sort of stuff online because I can see that you can really put bums on seats. It's not that it's not that niche. You're doing 12,000 seats. There's not a lot of comics, even in this country, that can put on 12,000 seats. You know, I'm definitely not for thousands from that. So, you know, so it was proof for me that there is evidence that, especially online, you can find your corner of the internet and they can really rock with you.
Yeah, it must be really nice then to sort of like, I think there's something acoustic about stand-up comedy. There's something like just, I don't know. I know it's not been around for that long, but it does feel like you're going back to a pre-Google, pre-iPhone sort of time. You're just in a room with people, standing up there. You've got a microphone, and that's kind of it. 100%. You're just connecting with people. Sometimes you don't even have that much amplification because you're right next to the people. Go somewhere like, what is it, the Bill Murray.
Yeah,
and it's so
very
small,
intimate.
and you're right there with people.
100%.
It must be really nice to like put in all that effort to like grind and like put the sketches online.
Yeah.
But then to be like, okay, I can just put the phone. I don't need to look at any of this stuff. I don't need to think about scrolling on TikTok. I can just go and stand in a room with people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and that's, it's connection. It's connection. I think there's so much. Whilst we've talked about the nice side of social media, there's so much division online as well. You know, people get screaming at each other, going at each other. Yeah. And it's just nice where you can put all that to the side, go on stage and it's all about connection, just connecting with people. We all have, no matter how much, you know, someone may be a different height to you, color to you, religion to you, gender to you, sexuality, there are commonalities with us. We all have relationships, we all have jobs, work, whatever. We all have worries about housing or finance. There are all these commonalities. No matter all these divisions you can divide us, we all have these commonalities, and we can bind together on these commonalities. You can find humor and share that experience together, and that's what I love about stand-up, because you can chip away at everything that, you know, we shouldn't be here together. We shouldn't be, all of us people shouldn't be as one, but you can find those commonalities and have a laugh and forget about the world for an hour. Forget about what's going on outside, and you just have this connection that for a night. And I think it is special. I think it is special, and obviously I'm biased because I'm in it and I want people to come, but I do think that it is very unique in this world that we live in, where there's all this division. You can just come together and have a laugh. You know, there's something special about that.
Yeah, definitely. As everything's becoming like more technological, it's just something really nice about when I can find the time to get out to something like Angel, or like around the corner you got Backyard as well.
Brilliant, yeah.
And just like sit in a room with people and laugh about something for a little bit.
100%, and just forget, because I think we're losing. The ironic thing about social media is that you're connected but you're disconnected. Like, I can be on my phone and, you know, 100,000 people could see something I put out. Crazy amount of people. If you imagine 100,000 people, that's Wembley Stadium, isn't it? So crazy now. Oh, I think it's 90,000, but you get the point. It's a lot of people. So the crazy amount of people, but then you can feel very alone because you turn the phone off and then
I know it's like when you like this is a big thing in COVID when like we were all just zooming each other all the time. And you'd have a Zoom and you'd spend like 6 hours just zooming your mates because you couldn't see them and you'd not seen them for like 6 months, and then you sort of put the laptop down and you're like, oh, I've been on my own kind of the whole time. It's a very weird sensation.
Just talking to a screen.
Yeah,
just talking to a screen, feeling this connection, and then that's over. So I do, but that's social media in a nutshell. You're together, but then you're alone. So the beauty of comedy is that it's very much stripping all that away and just connecting. Because we're meant to connect. We're social beings, you know. And part of your health, I always remind people that health isn't just physical health or your mental health. It's also your social well-being as well. And you have to connect with people, meet up with people. You have to have a good, active, and healthy social life to sort of be complete. It's not, so it's not just, it's a state of, it's the WHO World Health Organization definition. So health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, not just the absence of disease and infirmity. So that just basically means that to be healthy, physically you're in good shape, mentally you're in good shape, and socially you're in good shape. And comedy is one way to, I'd argue, to socially and mentally get in shape as well. So
yeah, I feel like you sort of came up at a good time then, because like you're sort of understanding how the social media aspect works, but you sort of came up kind of before it was like a really big thing. And you were talking about like having the discipline to be like, right, I've only got so much time in the day, I'm going to focus on my comedy. Fascinated. Like, what would you, if someone was interested in starting stand-up, what would you advise? Like how, I feel like every single person you talk to, I mean, maybe not who you talk to, because you know comedians, but most people on the street, if you go like, what's the last thing you would ever try? Most people say stand-up comedy. It's the fear of and like it's sort of like you say, and like actually the more I think about it, even when I go to see comedians I really like who are really practiced at it, you do just run through different jokes, and like the third joke like didn't get a laugh, and so you just get better at just moving on to the next 100%,
one.
You just get over it. So like what would you advise for people who like might be interested in trying it
in stand-up? Obviously I always say go for it. That would be my thing. You
start with the Gong.
Go to the comedy store, the King Gong, where you don't get any grace period and you can get kicked off. Some people get 2 cards before they've touched the mic. It's crazy. Oh, I've seen 20 people last 20 seconds in there. It's a bear pit. But it's great entertainment. I've gone to watch it once. Like I won't go on.
Just to re-traumatize yourself.
Oh, and just to laugh at other people's trauma. Really, I took my wife. That was a great Monday night.
Freud, right? Pleasure at other people's pain.
Oh, it is great. Just seeing people, just seeing their demise.
Feel bad about yourself. Just go watch the Gong.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I'm okay.
The last Monday of every, don't know what I'm doing free advertising, but the last Monday of every month, King Gong Comedy Store. I think it's a tenner still. Best tenner you would ever spend. Great entertainment. But go on stage. The early battle will be just feeling comfortable on stage. Once you're over that, and once you're over the fact that you get comfortable with silence, you'll be undefeatable. Accepting that, getting comfortable on stage and getting comfortable with silence, then you can just try your jokes out. And that's the thing. And maybe I was lucky because my context is different, because comedians always fear dying on stage. People didn't laugh. You died on stage, and then
I hear people say that like it needs to happen. Everyone says that like it wasn't until I died on stage that I like learned how to upgrade my comedy, basically. Because you think you're doing really well, and then you try, like you say, you try the London stuff somewhere else, and it's just crickets. And you're like, oh shit, I've got to completely change what I'm doing because I had this idea that I was perfect, and actually no, I've got to break it down. And
essential. It's essential. You can only get better. With gigs like that, it doesn't work. Or when you're doing a preview and one joke doesn't bang, you need. That's why comics are you have to be very introspective, and you have to you know your flaws. As a comic, you really know your flaws, because you have to be meticulous in listening back to your set, or watching back your set and seeing what didn't work, and you have to be honest that you may not always be right. You may think, I think this is funny, you share it with an audience, they may disagree, and then you have to be humble enough to say, okay, the audience are right, I'm not, and I need to take that out. I need to tweak that. I need to change that. I need to work on that. And you can be, if you're stubborn in comedy, you won't get very far, because you can, if you think you know better than the audience and you take out these jokes that they just repetitively don't find funny, you're not going to go very far. So you have to be humble and be like, okay, I need to change that. I need to work on that. I need to edit that. I need to do this and that. And you need to bomb. You need to have difficult times on stage, and you need to die. But the good thing about dying, and why I'm not so scared of it, is because I've seen real death in my other work of life. So when you see real death, having people not laugh at a joke, that is minuscule. That's nothing to me. It pales in comparison. So I'm not afraid of silence. I don't like it. I don't encourage it, but I know it's going to happen, and I know that it needs to happen to get better. You need people to not laugh so you can work out why they're not laughing, and then over time you sort of get better and work it out. You know.
I've heard quite a few people say this. There's this idea that everyone should do a year or two in healthcare, be like a nurse or something like that. Do you think that's...
Well, we need the help. They always say we've got 100,000 vacancies, so we need the help.
Other than the vacancies, just simply for like, just you saying like, oh, actually dying on stage isn't that bad because I've seen real death. It's like maybe if more people had an experience like that. 100%. Obviously, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need the right temperament. But yeah, if you see real life, you see the cycle of life. I've seen people being born. I've seen people take their first breath. I've seen people take their last breath. You see the whole cycle and everything in between. So that does change your perspective on life, and it makes you think that things that other people may be like, oh my goodness, that's the worst thing ever. When you've seen death, hey, I've seen the worst thing ever. I've seen it. So, having a bad gig, so what? It's almost like, so what? Okay. It's not nice. I don't encourage it. It's not nice when you feel that you've really had a bad time or you have a bad time, but move on.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's another day.
Did you have like a major... Is there any point that sticks out for you in your career as like a major learning experience? Was it like a dying of death on stage, or was it...
major learning experience? I don't want to give across that. I don't, but I've bombed a few times. But a major... I don't know if this was a major learning experience, but this is what sticks out in my mind. I've done a gig where... I've done a few gigs like this where... I remember I was doing it was in Derby, so I got invited by a promoter to go out to Derby. It wasn't a regular gig, it was like a bespoke gig. So it's not a comedy club. They just rented out the venue and put comedy on. It was well attended. And I was doing my bit, and then one lady just kept on sort of interrupting and heckling and whatnot. And I tried to not get too frustrated, because I think once you lose your cool on stage, you've lost. So to speak. You need to
that's exactly what they want you to do, yeah.
Then when you lose your cool, because you lose your cool, you lose your funny, and you lose control. So she was getting annoyed. I didn't lose my cool, but I was getting annoyed because she kept just interrupting, not letting me do my thing. And then other audience members, they were backing me, but the way they were backing me, they were like, just ignore her. I'm like, she is speaking and interrupting. How can you just ignore someone that's just speaking? They're like, no, you just do your thing. Focus on you. And I understood where they were coming from, i.e., you do, but surely
it's almost like another heckle in a way.
Surely the energy should be redirected to her to shut up. Instead of telling me to persevere, surely the energy should be there to sort of continue. So anyway, she eventually sort of settles down, and I go upstairs, go speak to the promoter. I'm like, he's like, oh, how was it? I was like, yeah, it was all right, but that lady, and she was just heckling. He's like, yeah, man, that's my aunt. I said, what? So yeah, man, that's just how she is. So you knew the lady that was interrupted, and you let her just interrupt your show that you're putting on because she's your aunt. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, fair enough. So there's not much I can personally learn from that, but I guess it's more just sometimes you're in environments or circumstances where you cannot win. Really and truly, someone in a sort of more produced show should have sort of tapped you on the shoulder, be like, hey, be quiet, or security would be like, hey, be quiet. But because this was almost like his gig and he's essentially allowing it to happen. So,
it's almost like the opposite of a plant.
Yeah, I was just like, it's almost like
someone instead of like there to like sort of big you up and like laugh.
It's a risk assessment. So you've done the risk assessment. You know she's like this. You've accepted she's like this. Instead of either putting her in the back or somewhere out of view, you've left her right smack bang in the middle. And when she started, you didn't curtail her. You didn't get someone to go speak to her. You didn't speak to her yourself. You just, your attitude was like, oh, that's what she does. And it's like, oh my God. So surely your mindset should be creating an environment that the comics can thrive, not having your aunt heckle. But anyway, first world problems. So that's the thing. It's not really probably the story you're looking for, but it does stick in my mind as a difficult moment. And I ask myself, could I have done anything differently in that story? And as I don't sound arrogant, I don't know if I could. I don't know if you can. They eventually shut up, but if there's someone that just wants to heckle, and the environment, the really and truly security or someone that running the show should go to that person. Because as a comic, there's only so much you can do, but you try to tame them. Let me do my thing, or you make a joke about it. But beyond that, there's no real tools in your arsenal to do anything, rather than someone else who's running the show should quietly.
I feel like it's like kind of everyday life though as well. Like sometimes you just come across people. I've been talking about this a couple of times recently. Is like you need to remember we live in a world with like just dickheads and psychopaths as well, right?
Yeah,
it's like
exist.
You're going about your life. You chat to people in the street sometimes. Like yes, you can chat to people in London. I know there's like the myth that like nobody talks to each other, but you do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you just come across someone who's just there to like fuck over everyone's
yeah.
And those people are there, and then you kind of look back at it afterwards, and you're like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have punched him straight in the face. Like, no, I never would have done that.
Yeah,
it's just not the kind of person
100%.
I am. And then you've got to deal with it on stage, and everybody's watching you have that
experience
in the limelight.
Some people are miserable, and that's the thing. Comedy should be a place where you escape misery, but some people are miserable, and they bring that energy with them, and there's nothing you can sort of do about it. And it's not a reflection on you sometimes. Sometimes it's a reflection on them and where they're at. And you can't reason. Sometimes you can't reason with people. You cannot reason with them. And if after a little back and forth, you're seeing that there's no winning here, that's when that person should, in my opinion, be escorted out. And in well-run gigs, that's what would have happened. It didn't happen in this occasion, but in typical well-run gigs, I've been at many gigs where there is security, where the performance is paramount, and people that are being disruptive are removed. I've seen it happen. So it just didn't happen in that case, but that's what should happen. After a while, it's like, well, we're just gonna shout at each other, or we just gonna go back and forth. People haven't paid to see that. People come to see a show, so let the people. The majority should always take favor. The majority come to see a show. If you don't want to see a show,
I don't really understand that thing of people who come and pay for a show just to mess it about. But
misery guts.
Some people like it.
Misery guts. People, yeah. As you said, some people aren't happy, and that maybe my comedy's not the antidote for you. Maybe it's not. Sometimes you have to accept that you're not the person for them, and it's fine. But just don't interrupt it for those who want to come and see a show. That's what I'd always insist on.
Yeah. I do need to wrap up, but thank you very much for coming.
No, thanks for having me, man. Yeah. It's been fun.
Can you tell people where you've got things on now, where they can see you?
Absolutely. So going on tour, the tour is called Don't Call Me Uncle. You have to come to the show to fully understand that context. But it's going all over the UK. So it starts on the 25th of September in Hemel Hempstead. And we're going all over England. We've got 2 dates in Scotland, Glasgow and Edinburgh. Doing a date in Wales, Cardiff. And we're obviously flying out to Ireland. It's got Dublin, Cork and Belfast in Northern Ireland. So going all over. It should be fun. The show's done a lot of previews. It's ready. It's raring to go. michaelakadiri.com, or find me online at the Comedy Doc for tickets, and there's a discount for NHS staff. So yeah, come through. Should be fun, man. All are welcome, but there's a discount for my colleagues.
And as we've talked loads about your sketches, where can people go on and see all these sketches that you work so hard to edit and put together?
Yes, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Facebook is sort of slept on, but shout out all the boomers and the Gen X's on Facebook.
LinkedIn.
I'm going to start LinkedIn soon. Maybe I'll put some on there. But yeah, find me on Instagram. If you look for the Comedy Doc, that's the moniker. Go on those platforms, but you can also look and find Michael Akadiri, and I should pop up there. So yeah, come say hello. Come say hello. If you've come from the pod, come say hello. DM me, come say hello. I like to speak to people.
Comedy Doc, amazing. Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Much appreciated, my guy. Thanks for having me. Beautiful spot. Thank you.